Let's talk about Bagman.
I don't know if you rank me.
Bagman?
Bagman. So Batman Arkham Knight. Most people are finishing it. If they are, I will not get into any spoilers, but there are a couple endings for this game.
Batman has a car.
He does have a car.
It's a big old car.
It's a tank. It's a huge. It's there a lot. It really makes itself known that it's.
It looks like your stepbrother's CD player from the '90s. It's
so I'm
scary.
I'm very. It's right. It looks
Has
like
the word Iowa on the side.
No, it does kind of look like if you stack all the Sega systems. And it kind of controls like that too. So I think a lot of people have been asking for the Batmobile for a very long time. We finally got it. And some would say they kind of put too much of it in there. I'm kind of mixed on it. I think it's fine. Like, it's not bad. It's not great. It sort of just exists. My issue with it is that there are almost no boss fights in Arkham Knight. And the ones that do exist, which are with people who should be, awesome opponents for you in hand-to-hand combat, which is something that the whole game cruxes around, turn into these Mario Kart battle mode levels where you're basically just driving around shooting turtle shells at each other,
which is so frustrating.
It's so weird.
I haven't played this almost at all. I played a little, or I watched a little at Marty's, and I played the E3 demo a year ago. But it's as someone who loved Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, I just moved in. I'm finally about to get a TV and internet, and I'll finally play this. But it's hearing that is so disappointing to me.
Well, you guys played Arkham Origins, right?
Yeah, I played up to the 9th time you're on the bridge, and I gave up.
Origins had those kind of amazing, they were almost like Tekken style fights where you would go up against an opponent in this kind of arena, and it was one-on-one, and every now and then they'd throw some other enemies in there. But it was hand-to-hand combat, and it felt kind of punch-outy in that you had to learn patterns and figure out weaknesses and stuff like that. All of that is gone in this game. You fight droves of enemies like usual, but they're just the kind of generic henchmen guys.
Yeah, really disappointed by the fact that I'm kind of getting through it, and I'm realizing that, given how much time I put into it, I probably should have fought a boss by now. And
right.
I mean, Dan Stapleton put it. He was saying that the previous games they had boss fights that were sort of cool. Some of them were really good, and then some of them were kind of dumb.
Yeah, the end of Arkham Asylum. That's the only bad part of that game. Is
Joker
is the
end
boss,
Super
the
Joker.
Titan fights. Yeah.
I wasn't actually wild about the Killer Croc fight.
I hated that.
Oh yeah, when you're running. That's right. When you're running towards the camera.
Mr. Freeze fight is super cool.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I think the Poison Ivy fight was also pretty cool.
Yeah.
There's some cool stuff.
I mean, there's some good, and it's also it's a big part of what keeps Batman from just being this weird, just this kind of bully, the fact that he's going up against people who are kind of his equals, and in this one you're just fighting some soldiers,
angry henchmen. Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing is it kind of failed on the promise of what made Arkham Knight exciting to me, which is that at last year's E3 they talked about how the Batmobile is just part of your arsenal, and it's in the same way you would use explosive gel or the Batarang or anything else. This is a new tool in your tool belt, and just that Ace Chemicals level they showed, I was that seems awesome. I can call my Batmobile when I want to, but I can be Batman on foot when I want to. It seems great. But now hearing more about the final game, it seems like it's basically required for gigantic sections.
Absolutely.
And that's disappointing.
And actually, specifically, the second half of the game becomes way more Bat Tank oriented, which is kind of disappointing. There was moments where I did enjoy it, where I'm there's these kind of bases that you have to take over all throughout the city, which I love. It was evoked a lot of Far Cry for me, of just sort of being here's these towers and here's these areas that you have to take over. And I went into one and I died 25 times in a row, and then I was able to lower a bridge to bring my Batmobile over to that area, and I noticed there was one of those things on the front that you could latch onto with the Batmobile, rip off the wall, and all of a sudden just gun down everybody inside there with rubber bullets so they don't die.
Fine. Don't worry about it.
They're okay.
They're to the hospital.
But and then I was able to finish that section in 10 seconds as opposed to sneaking around for hours. But there's other times, and luckily it only happens once, but they actually have you do platforming with the Batmobile, which is jumping off a ramp onto a roof to pull down something to drive on this narrow path. I think it only happened once in the game, but there's a couple other times where they're just you need to use the Batmobile. You need to use the Batmobile.
Yeah. Also, there are those chase scenes. It's such a so the Batmobile is awesome. It's really, really cool.
Yeah.
The way it's implemented, I think, is just really is kind of they didn't follow through with it.
Right.
I remember they said that they spent obviously a ton of time making it feel good and work well, and it's well, if you're gonna have one drivable car in a game, it better control well.
Right.
The problem is they also put so much time into destructible environments everywhere, and you can run over literally anything; it'll blow up into particles, and it's really cool.
There was these pillars in the front of the Chinatown area in the game that I've wrecked 1,000 times, and every time you go back, they're rebuilt because late night construction crews are working tirelessly.
Video game.
But
Video
I mean,
game.
there is some awesome stuff. I want to give it some credit. Like when you're standing on a roof and you hit L1 and you look down at the street, and your Batmobile comes in, and
that's so cool.
And it's making that
and it's kicking up all the leaves.
Oh man, it's got like that machine dying down dubstep noise, and you jump into it and take off. Like it's awesome.
Yeah.
There are some high speed pursuit areas in that game where you're going 100 miles an hour in a Batmobile, and you're like, this looks incredible.
Yep.
You know?
Have you gotten to the part though where you drive off a bridge while you're chasing somebody?
Yeah.
And you're just like, what? Well, I'm in a sewer. I gotta go. I got lost.
it happens a lot.
Your OnStar or MapQuest or whatever is just like.
So yeah, I mean, like
take your next lap.
I think it's weird stepping back and looking at the franchise because of that, right? Because in the first game came to a time when we were like, oh my god, there's an incredible Batman game, right? Like it wasn't some dumb license thing. It was like received really well, and everyone was like, man, imagine if we went to Gotham City,
right?
And then Arkham City wasn't quite that, but it's like you got to be out. It was open world, and you got to do more. And people are like, man, like imagine if you could drive the Batmobile, because you see it in cutscenes, and I think Arkham Asylum, but you don't get to do it. And then this game delivered on that promise, but it did it in a way that I think it was like, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah,
kind of.
I mean, it would have been great if this would have been used sparingly.
Yeah.
5 times in the game there were Batmobile missions.
Yeah.
And then where it was like every couple hours, like, man, I really want another, and then you get it. And, you're like,
and we just talked about this yesterday. Imagine if it was like Dishonored. Like Dishonored, you go and you can either do like low chaos or high chaos. You either kill people or you don't, and like it branches out from there. Imagine if in this game, whether it had branching narratives or not, if every mission there was a way to do it on foot or in the Batmobile. Like I feel like that all people want are options, right? Like, and I think there are probably people who love the tank and love doing it that way. But like, why would you betray the entire gameplay style of the first 2 and technically 3 games? Like it just seems weird to require.
Yeah, that's all absolutely true, and I completely agree with you. I think that like traversing the city in the Batmobile is probably just as fun as it is to whip around on your magical ropes at the top.
I love the ropes.
Yeah,
I like to glide with ropes. I like the super rope and the regular rope as well.
Listening to you guys talk about a very different rope conversation this morning.
That's right. I will say this: playing with the Adam West skin on is hilarious.
I'm so jealous.
So weird.
I suggest everybody do that if they
can.
the
weird anime one.
Yeah, I mean, all that stuff is great. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, the anime one's really scary.
I really just want to be like everything in that game is made of carbon fiber and cardboard boxes and blood and rust.
Did you see the Batman Beyond comparison? They compared like the cartoon version to like the super jacked up, like crazy.
That is one of the ugliest, most abrasively stupid looking things I've ever seen in a video game.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but that's canon.
Destin put together a video that's every
like
single
Bruce Timm
one.
should go over to Rocksteady and slap someone in the face for that. That is an affront to art direction.
That skin was actually the movie that Pee Wee Herman was seeing when he was doing.
Oh my god!
I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry.
It's interesting though if you watch the video of all the skins because 80% of them are terrible.
Let me get into my main issue with this game, and this is something that I feel like everyone should be complaining about, but they're kind of getting a free pass on, and that is you can finish Arkham Knight, but when you do and you get an ending, and to be fair, like the ending sequence that you get from finishing the game is ridiculous and awesome and crazy, completely insane, just like really kind of like one of the most comic book things I've ever seen in a video game. Where you're like, how did you do this? But once you do that, you're kicked back into the main world, and they basically say, to get the best ending in this game, you have to collect every single Riddler trophy, of which there are 243 of them. Most of them are not fun. Some of them are great, but it's one of the most grindy things to actually kick somebody out into doing. So most people just did what I did, which is go on YouTube and watch the ending, because I'm like, I like to be completionist in open world games, but this is where I had to draw the line. And I think it's a really big issue. So I hope we never see anything like that again from them or from any other video game.
It's not like
kind of a pain in the ass.
There are lots of like true endings. It's like a huge JRPG thing, right? Like in Persona 4 or whatever, like to get there's literally a 30-minute epilogue that's hidden behind if you do a second playthrough and get the true ending and be the real boss.
I think
and blah,
it's
blah, blah.
kind of obnoxious that they tell you that's how you do it.
That's the thing, and that's my thing too. Like it's usually like an epilogue or a cool Easter egg or like an ambiguous tease for something. Like if this is actually part of the core story, that seems really weird to me. Like if you have to actually do it.
Well, because you find yourself like, and I know Batman's a ridiculous character, and I think that's like kind of why I both love and hate the fact that we have so much Batman now. Is that like Batman is amazing because when he doesn't overstay his welcome. When you are playing with him for 25 hours, it starts to get a little tedious and ridiculous that this gruff asshole is calling all his friends and just being like, "Do me favors, I need your help," and he never says thank you or anything
Batman,
like that.
it's Tim. Do you want help with something? Leave me alone.
Leave me alone, Robin.
I'm killing people with my car.
Damn it, Robin! I gotta change my phone number.
I like the idea of Batman as really awful Roman Bellic, just like calling his brother.
Yeah. No,
Dude,
totally.
I hate how much he's just, dude, maybe get off Skype for a minute. Just stop FaceTiming everyone you know.
Oh my God, it is nonstop in that game. Like,
This is what it like. You said the most astute thing about this, and it's just that it feels like a Batman game for millennials.
Yeah.
Just people who are I don't mean to sound like the oldest man in the world, because technically I am also a millennial.
Ooh,
but
I got
like,
a tweet. I got a Facebook message. I got a new Instagram
I'm gonna add this
follower.
to my Snapchat story.
Yeah.
I got a new like on Instagram. I better go see who it is. Oh, it's the Riddler.
Like, can you maybe just sit and be Batman for a minute? Is that okay? Can it just be quiet in your own head for 5 minutes? You need a phone call from Lucius and the Riddler and Alfred and Robin and Catwoman.
Can you just fight a crime?
Can you just fight a crime?
He's a dude who watched his parents get killed when he was a kid.
That means he's got to be on the phone all the time?
Yeah.
It's really, social media is great if you feel lonely.
Yeah.
I never heard that. I never heard that about orphans on social media. Forget it.
I didn't read that. Was Dickens never wrote about
So anyway,
that?
personally, I hope that the next Arkham game is way more intimate and goes back to something like Arkham Asylum. Like,
Hold on. We got an email.
Okay, Beyond.
What would you like to see? Sorry, this is from our Canadian buddy Klein, who says, "I have a question that has been haunting me, like the news ghost himself. Here it is. With the release of Batman Arkham Knight and the conclusion of Rocksteady's Batman trilogy, what would you like to see them tackle next? A new IP, another licensed franchise? For me, I would like to see them take what they've done with Batman and pretty much copy and paste it into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles universe."
Well, have fun with all those pizza
Who
truck
wrote that letter?
missions.
Our Canadian buddy Klein.
Klein, our Canadian buddy, we have heard about the Ninja Turtles game for years as a rumor.
One Activision has the IP, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't
Their
know
name
if
is
it's gonna
Rocksteady. I hope it's a solo game about Rocksteady.
What's the
And then
Bebop?
another
How
one
we
called
met
Bebop.
How we made Bebop.
the love story.
Yeah, I think I would love to see them not do Batman, and not that I don't want more Arkham games eventually, but like give it a year off, like let Rocksteady tackle a new IP, or even if they want to stay within this world, do like people say, like the Justice League game or whatever it is, but like let them branch out.
Yeah.
It's almost like that weird thing where like Killzone went on for so long, and then we saw what they did with Horizon, and it's like the opposite color palette. It's like so different.
Yeah.
I would love to see them do a bright colored superhero game.
I wanted them.
Yeah.
I wanted
Make
them
a
to do a Harry
Superman
Potter
game.
game.
Yeah, or Harry Potter
They
game
have
would
the
be
WB license.
incredible.
Yeah.
We were talking about this. I think that there was a rumor for a while that they were going to be doing a Silver Age Batman game.
Right. There was that steampunk thing that we saw.
Yeah, Silver Age. That was Gotham by Gaslight, which
Right.
is different. But Silver Age would be like for people not comic friendly, whatever. That's like basically the dumbest period of comic books. Like that is Golden Age is like the 30s and 40s. Silver Age is like 60s and 70s, and basically when there'd be weird stuff like Rainbow Batman, or Superman had a dog, or like Superman puts a lead box on Lois Lane's head because he doesn't want to read her mind, or it didn't make any sense. It was all like this really ridiculous stuff. And the thing is they spend so much time making this incredibly realistic world, but it still has all of these totally silly video game tropes. I would love it if they used Silver Age logic to actually explain every bit of ludonarrative dissonance, but with just the worst kind of like just dumb Silver Age Deus Ex Machina stuff.
Yeah.
Where they're just like, he had to go back to his home planet. We brought them back to life with crystals. That's how we did it.
I would love that because I mean I don't know. I feel like the Batman games are so kind of like aggro, and I don't mean that really in a negative way. I think that sort of fits the tone. Again, he's an orphan and he fights clowns. But a lot of them in this game. There's so much clowns. But I would love to see them do something a little more lighthearted, or at least palette-wise, like go with the Batman animated series palette, which is a very dark show, but
that'd be cool.
just
That'd
that
be
sort
awesome.
of like very clean, kind of paper cut texture.
Well, and that's a DC problem in general now, right? Like the whole idea, like during the Nolan era of Batman, it's like, it became very grounded and very serious and very dark. And it's like you see the Batman vs Superman trailer, you saw Zack Snyder's Superman a couple years ago. It's like they're all dark now, and no matter what, it's all dark and gritty. And like that works for Batman, but it doesn't work for like the 30 other heroes in the DC universe. So
yeah, the reality is if they don't make the next Batman game, someone's going to have to, because it's a billion-dollar money printing IP.
Of course,
and you know, if it's who worked on Origins?
Montreal, yeah.
So what I really want to see from Rocksteady, if they do make another Batman game, is I kind of miss the kind of Metroid Prime intimacy of the first game, of being like, this is an isolated area, and again, they've gone so open world that it's going to be really impossible and jarring to go back. But I like the here's one area, and you just building or some.
What if you just get lost in your house?
Yeah, you get lost.
Just
you get
gone home,
but colon Batman. Yeah,
that'd be awesome. That would be awesome. No, but I liked all the fact that there were like tunnels and areas that you had to unlock through mechanisms that you earned through boss fights and stuff like that, and upgrades. Like it made more sense than like you got a few upgrades in Arkham Knight, but I never really felt like, oh wow, the whole world.
Did you die 25 times? Try killing them with your car.
I haven't done Arkham Knight yet, but yeah, like in hindsight, it does look like Arkham Asylum is pretty much the best one, or at least the tightest of the experiences.
And I miss that, you know.
Like I really like Arkham City, but feels like sometimes too much freedom is a bad thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I think like that first game really strikes that balance where it feels like a really big world, but you are kind of locked in, and you do have to wait to unlock certain areas.
It's like the difference between Die Hard and Die Hard with a Vengeance, which I think are both awesome movies. Sorry. But the first one takes place in one isolated building, right? And so much gets done in that.
Perfect.
And the third one is basically, let's take all 5 boroughs of New York City and just go crazy. Yeah, it's not awful. You don't like Die Hard?
We've had this fight a million times.
You don't like Die Hard with a Vengeance?
It's better Die Hard 2. It's not. It is a great movie. I like it quite a bit. It is nowhere near Die Hard 1.
It was originally not a Die Hard movie.
Of course, it was Simon Says or whatever. Yeah.
Well,
no
was
Die Hard
Dirty
movie.
Dancing.
It was a Simon Says movie.
It was called Simon Says. The
Says.
first Die Hard movie that was written as a Die Hard movie was, I think, Die Hard 4.
Yeah.
Which is really weird. No, it was Die Hard 5 because 4 was some anyway.
Yeah,
Each one of those were Die Hard podcasts.
Basically, they were like spec scripts that were for action movies, and somebody was like, "Well, let's put John McClane in this."
Yeah, especially Die Hard 2 was like barely like it. Like,
but I love that. Like, I would love like you drop Batman on the first floor of a corporate building that's 60 stories tall, and it's like created by a.
It's like Judge Dredd or The Raid.
It's Judge
Dredd.
And he needs things to get through each floor and kill everybody.
God, and like each floor could be zoned off by like, this is like Two-Face's territory, this is like Joker's territory, and like they're fighting amongst themselves as they're going
if
up.
there was this like villain tower in Gotham City.
Well, the only way you could get up those.
Hero would work really well for that would be Green Arrow.
Yeah, totally.
Green Arrow game.
Isn't that what
would
Supermax was? That original, long before Arrow, there was that concept for a movie called Supermax, which was basically like the maximum security prison of supervillains. They all get out, and Green Arrow basically is like, oh no, it's Superman's day off, so I guess I got to do this myself.
Yeah.
I think that would be incredible.
Oracle, I need the Arrow.
I mean, it would basically be the new Tomb Raider. You know, you'd start out on an island, and you're like, oh no, I'm a billionaire with a bow and arrow. I gotta fight some guys.
Yeah.
Oh, God, that would be cool.
These pot
I
farmers
want a
are up to
Batman
no
game
good.
Batman game where he gets off on every floor, and it's just like, ding. Have you seen Barbara? Ding. Have you seen Barbara?